we serve the One. In the Buddha world, memory gives shape to law, life, substance, and space-time. A single persisting memory can weave a tapestry, and through us echoes the memories and the threading of the tapestry of the one called Red Eagle. Kama Butatown. Red Eagle sat with Lith in the Butterfly Diner. The Butterfly Diner was a rare, persisting reality in Raza Butatown. Unlike the cabins in the foothills or the Tavern of Light, the diner wasn't permanent, but it was a dependable meeting place. He looked at the extraordinary golden female and said to her, "The journey of a starless sky marks day and night in the Buddha world, day and night, or the whim of ones you should dread to know. After your journey to the infinite mountain, you will feel the coming of the night as we Rakshasa do, like an ache in the bones before a rain." A vacant-eyed Golan stumbled by Red Eagle's chair. Lith reached out, concerned this one among countless self-unaware dead might fall. Red Eagle interrupted her concern, saying, "They continue their existence in this nowhere place, as if they were still alive in space-time." The Golan seemed oblivious to the random flickers of reality into the Buddha world night. Suddenly, the host of Golan in the diner froze in stride. A shadow filled the diner door, and a stout, broad-shouldered sentient stepped through the shadow. Lith marveled at Zutha, the rope sentient with stone-gray eyes and granite-like muscles. She was confused, though, by the Golan's apparent reaction to Zutha's arrival. Lith remembered his own gravelly voice saying, "They are frozen during their fight with the Gandharv to keep control of their existence." And Red Eagle, continuing, "We Rakshasa have found no way to aid the souls in their battles with the priests. These battles often conclude with an immobilized Golan becoming active again, marked by their characteristic vacant gaze." As Zutha reached their table, she indeed noticed some of the Golan had continued their stumble through the diner. Red Eagle, as if he had been reading her thoughts, said, "Souls who successfully fought for their bodies were the source of all they knew of the feared and revered Gandharv, including their mysterious city." Red Eagle usually limited his instruction of Lith to how to journey to Rakshasa. She disliked his insistence that she make the journey, and she also shared that while his ragged voice was soothing and his eyes warm, his tone was more fatherly than she preferred. Zutha had been his apprentice for some time, or at least what seemed like time, and he had not made the journey. In his fatherly tone, he often asserted, "You are the first soul to come alive into the Buddha world and have a special purpose for which you should prepare." As if falling into a trance, he would sometimes say, "No one returns from the valley beyond Rakshasa. The valley beyond the infinite mountain is said to be where the city lies." Attributing the statement to prescience, a gift he brought with him to the Buddha world, and sounding more like, Lith said, a space-time love interest than a fatherly figure, he offered, "When you reach the Rakshasa summit, I will arrive and walk down into the Gandharv valley, and I won't return, but you will return with the Aster to separate day and night." Lith nearly made the old man blush when she added that the sad delight in his voice warmed her eyes and made her wish a round old Terran knew how to dance like a Lai male. Zutha shared his belief in her special purpose in the Buddha world and adored, even worshipped, Lith. Zutha's thinking was often random, but he had a unique capacity to perceive the mysteries. Red Eagle had to humbly admit that Zutha's perception of the mysteries may surpass his own. Yet, he believed that applying the mysteries for predictable outcomes required more practiced mental focus. Red Eagle gathered that Zutha was a shaman of some sort in his space-time life, and he had witnessed countless days and nights in the Buddha world, suggesting he had been there a long time. Zutha was from Roke, the youngest space-time world of sentience. Kama Butatown was the gateway into the Buddha world for the sentience of Zutha's space-time world. When Lith asked, "Will you journey with me to Kama Butatown?" Red Eagle considered the journey a distraction from her preparation. Zutha, of course, could have guided her, but didn't, for unspoken reasons. Driven by curiosity, since the two seemed impatient with her interest in Kama Butatown, Lith tasked Hyro, a Rakshasa Sund, to guide her there. Hyro was deeply distinct from the Lygians. His hands were a darker gold than her own, and his face, a rich shade of golden-brown grassy fuzz. Thick strands of light brown grass formed a magnificent mane around his head, much like a Terran lion's, while similar strands cascaded across his powerful frame like a cloak of living, woven cloth. To the uninitiated eye, his people appeared to be covered in coarse hair, but those strands were actually living grass. In their unawakened state, the mindless sun that wandered the Mila were a terrifying sight, hollow beings, prone to savagely tearing at one another as they lost their tether to existence. But Hyro was no mindless wanderer. He was a Rakshasa, one of the awake. Having successfully journeyed the shifting, living slopes of the infinite mountain, he had reclaimed his self-awareness and fortified his will. Where the lesser sunned were fragmented by the shifting winds of memory, Hyro possessed a deep, anchoring presence. Furthermore, as an awakened sun, he held the unique power of shaping raw potentiality into form. At Litha's request, when he spoke, his voice was a warm, caressing rumble that vibrated through the floorboards of the dinner. The solid realm of the Rokh is old, and the path is watched by eyes that resent your waking, Hyro said, his deep gaze meeting hers. But you seek to understand the tapestry of this existence. I shall walk the shifting sands with you and guide you safely to Rokh's gates. Despite Hyro being a fellow Rakshasa, Red Eagle was concerned for Litha's well-being. Lith had not experienced the Buddha world night outside the safety of the Tavern of Light, so he requested, Lith, invite me into a mental link. A temporary link with another self-aware sentient can be formed without an invitation, but it won't persist without a mental invite. The process reminded Red Eagle of a fictional space-time power called the Vulcan Mind Meld, except it doesn't require physical contact. It requires eye contact. The eyes are the window into the soul of all sentience. Red Eagle instructed. Stand with left eye focused on left eye. Shift the gaze of all eyes to each person's left. Each one imagines. You see yourself through the other's eyes. The Rakshasa will achieve the link and know the experiences of the other as they choose. Through the link, Michael Red Eagle learned that Lith had only then realized she had never seen a Rokh female or any Rokh male besides Sutha. She admitted mentally, I only wanted to visit Kama Buddha Town because I am curious about Sutha and more than because he is the only Rokh I have encountered.